This roof's getting installed with our premium roofing system. Backed by our 50-year warranty. And there's a 0% financing, no payment for 6 months options that this customer utilized. If you're looking for a new roof and you need an affordable option, call Absolute Restoration.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 5.
Well, it is 5 p.m. You're watching Mississippi Live Weather. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lopon. Thank you so much for joining us here in the Room to Room Weather Center on what is a more pleasant day than, of course, maybe it's more pleasant ending to the day as opposed to just back and forth versus one and the other. At least we had some rainfall. We needed some rainfall, had a lot of that last night, and very few reports of any sort of damage in this part of the state. We will look at where a little bit more of that was unfortunately occurring come up here in a couple of minutes. But as we check out that forecast over the course of this evening, cooler and drier air is arriving. And that's one of the big headlines going forward. Give me a second here of the cough. Excuse me. And maybe you're like me. You're seeing this change of the weather. You got a little bit of the crud. Hey, at least Mother Nature's going to try to dry things out and provide, I think, fairly pleasant conditions for your travel cast. We're looking at that Thanksgiving travel forecast around the region coming up here in just a couple of minutes. And then Black Friday and the Egg Bowl, of course, both those things lining up. And a lot of people tend to be outside for both of those events on Friday. We will look at what the forecasts are like coming up here in a couple of minutes, as you might imagine. Not stormy and a big transition from where we've been. Beautiful still colors showing up there in Amory, though that update pulling off some of those pinks at this instant. 68 degrees current temperature at this time. Feels like still the low 70s, but that wind out of the north and west bringing in drier and cooler air that's going to have wind chills, a bigger part of the forecast going forward the next couple of days. That's one of our milder locations up in Crenshaw. Again, a bit of cloud cover there. 64 current temperature kind of in the northwest portion of the state. And that dew point at 54. So that's that drier air continuing to progress in. So that's why we keep rainfall off of the forecast for the first 12 here. 61 on the average, that temperature at 6 p.m. there. We're 57 by 9 p.m., 55 by midnight, and into the mid 40s for early morning for tomorrow. That's closer to what we expect for this time of year, but still running a little bit above our 30-year average, our normal. As far as alerts go out there this evening, you'll notice we don't have a whole lot of those in play at this earlier on. And really over the last 24 hours, we could see this kind of loop here. I'm going to bring it into the current time period. Again, we did have some flood advisories overnight, also had some tornado watches down to the south, but those have shifted out into Alabama. And certainly there was a number of reports of damage related to this storm system back for locations that direction over the course of the last 24 hours. In particular, wind damage. We did have one report of a tornado touchdown closer to the Jackson area overnight, just west of Jackson. Our meteorologist Gabe will talk more about that in a minute. And then a lot of wind damage reports out into Tennessee. Out in Alabama, one up into Tennessee. But for most of our area, northern part of the state, thankfully, things just a little bit out of sync. And the latest scans there on Mississippi Live Weather Radar showing, again, all the activity back out there into Alabama and moving away from us, a non-factor largely. So those latest scans keeping us dry and clear on Mississippi Live Weather Radar. And that watch we referenced a moment ago there, a tornado watch for locations back out into Alabama. Two fronts coming through. The first one has just a little bit of a drop in temperatures in that slightly drier air. The more substantial drop is behind this second front that we have back to the north and west. You also have plenty of wintry precipitation kind of coming back as well. But note the movement on this here. That's heading much more east than south, right? So all this wintry stuff is going to stay locked up well to the north of us. So no wintry snow or precipitation coming with this anytime soon. But it is the air behind this that is the story. And that's really largely because this air is drier air kind of moving in from the north and west. And it's definitely breezy associated with that. Probably best way to show that is using the same thing we looked at yesterday when we were talking about the moisture. And that's that measure of moisture based on the same scale as the temperature, otherwise known as the dew point there. And that is that drier air. You can just see all these browns representing a lot of dry moving in. So front number one was what activated with the showers and thunderstorms we had overnight and early this morning. That has moved through, taking all that activity eventually for locations farther and farther to the east, and that drier air is our story in the nearer term here. And so when we look at the severe weather risk for today and the remainder of the day, as you can see, that continues to shift toward the south and east and away from us. So no more of that to contend with, thankfully, over the course of the next couple of days here. So let's look at Futurecast as that drier air continues to move in on kind of the wide shot here. If you do have travel plans that for one reason or another to this evening take you down there to South Alabama, you might be watching us on the app out there for Georgia. I know we have a lot of folks that travel with that app, maybe left a day early to get ahead of some of the Thanksgiving traffic out there. Obviously, some severe weather, including an isolated tornado, can't be ruled out ahead of this initial front. Now notice this particular graphic, we wipe off that cold front. Ultimately, it's just kind of a secondary push of cooler air continuing to settle in. And you'll really start to notice the difference again with 40s arriving overnight and that drier air starting to settle in. We're not even to the core of that yet, which means tomorrow, yeah, we're cooler, but we keep dropping things even more as we head toward your Thanksgiving holiday. So as we start off your Wednesday morning there, we're going to start off around 47 or 48 degrees, as you can see, by 9 a.m. That's not much of an increase over those 3 hours, right? One of those signs we keep it cool. We're only 53, as you can see, by noontime and 54 by 3 p.m. for tomorrow. Lots of sunshine. We are dry, but note those winds. And technically, there's a wind chill anytime we're in the upper 40s. And it still kind of feels like it above the upper 40s. So there's going to be a chill to the way it feels all day long. I mean, that wind chill, even there at 9 a.m. through probably even noontime, probably feeling like it's mid, maybe lower 40s out there, even some 30s, I think, for wind chills, certainly in the morning. So a chilly way to begin the day. And as you can see by tomorrow evening, actual temperatures into the 30s. How far do those drop? I mean, we're probably, again, back below freezing for a number of days. We're looking ahead at just how cold, what that means, again, for your Thanksgiving holiday itself, and breaking down the latest on that Egg Bowl forecast, your Black Friday shopping, the Small Business Saturday, all those as we look ahead. I know the season already ramping up. Our sitter was mentioning how near the mall, it's like we're in full holiday scale. Well, it's certainly going to ratchet up even more over the next couple of days. We're tracking that forecast here in the Room to Room Weather Center as Mississippi Live Weather at 5 continues here in a couple of moments.
Give the gift of a delicious burger from Bulldog Burger, a soup and sandwich from Sweet Pepper's Deli, appetizers and cocktails from The Grill, or even a wood-fired steak from Harvey's. Choice is the perfect gift. An all-in-one gift card from Eat With Us.
At Room to Room, there's no need to wait. Black Friday deals are going on now.
Get 36-month special financing, and we're paying your sales tax now at Room to Room. You don't want to miss it.
Room to Room Tupelo, where we know there's no place like your home.
Hate is loud, but love is the majority.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's Mississippi's Chief Meteorologist, Matt Lovhawn.
Again, looking at skies that are clear in and around the Fulton area at this time. And Gabe, I'm going to steal this computer from you here for a minute because as you adjust that there, you're taking away my monitor. So let me go ahead and steal it back here for just a moment as we continue to show up with, again, that mix of clouds as those showers and thunderstorms kind of moving out of the area there. Kind of a prettier shot, I think, from just down the south there in Smithville areas. We kind of have that silhouette of the clouds and those golden colors in the sky. Winds 3 miles per hour, fairly light on that movement. Do expect those obviously to pick up as that cooler air starts to settle in. And one last shot here back for Batesville coming in with, again, those mostly clear skies. Ooh, even kind of a rose sort of tint to that one. I like it. 64 degrees. I'm going to bring in our meteorologist, Gabe Maynor here. That's a beautiful shot there in Batesville, in sharp contrast to, obviously, some of the more active weather we had earlier on today.
Exactly. I think anything that has clear skies in it is a great shot, considering what we dealt with this time yesterday and then building into those overnight hours. But fortunately, Matt, I would say that those reports further down south, up here in North Mississippi, we didn't really get too much of anything if it wasn't just a ton of rainfall, right?
Yeah, exactly. Just a ton of rain. Thankfully, it was windy overnight. And part of the reasons we had a lot of folks who were asking about that. Why weren't you on? It was windy. We cut in for severe winds when we start talking about the expectation of you're going to have 58 or greater mile per hour wind gusts or something that could be working its way that direction in tornadoes. Last night, most of our wind gusts 30, 40 miles per hour, really rushing in the trees, what we call pressure gradient winds, winds caused by a tightening of that pressure gradient, but also some winds that are mixed down from aloft. But luckily, most of our winds were not severe in this part of the state.
Thankfully, for sure. So lots to be thankful for. We're in the Thanksgiving week. So, hey, add that to the list as we get into Thursday and we're citing off what we're thankful for. Definitely needs to be the forecast because it's just a beautiful sight across the area, whether that's in Batesville or across North Mississippi this evening. Now, as we bring it back here to our other mode, we're going to look at our damage survey that actually took place down there around the Jackson area. You do see those notes of some reported debris right there around Raymond and Hinds County, just on the west side of Jackson. And you can see that Hinds County tornado reported as an EF0. Storm surveyors able to get out there earlier this morning and officially rate that EF0 path width, about 100 yards, path length, 1.75 miles, and those peak winds about 75 miles an hour. I do want to say, with the damage reports that we did receive, it was just a few trees and limbs that were blown down. Fortunately, not onto a structure, but it was around a graveyard, so some of those graves were a little bit damaged due to some of those trees falling on top of it, but I think that we'll be able to restore that and get it all in working order moving forward. So we're definitely grateful that this EF0 was not too impactful to us, especially out there in Hinds County, but that was the one tornado report that we did have here in North Mississippi. Now, as we take a look at some of those damage reports across the region, you can see that's around the Hubbard area on the west side of Hinds County, but another report around Raymond with some trees down, same thing Vicksburg, Belmead, and close to the Blakely community right along the Mississippi state line into Louisiana. Now, here in North Mississippi, you can see no reports across the area. Most I heard from folks were just a few rumbles of thunder, lots of electricity in the skies due to those lightning strikes, but that's not a severe weather threshold. That's just honestly a cool sight as long as it's staying way up in the sky and not reaching on the ground. But fortunately, everyone stayed safe, and that's really what we want whenever we get into these events. No injuries, no fatalities, just material stuff that we're able to replace. Now, out there towards the east, I need to check in with my parents because some of those storms working their way through the area. Watching it behind the scenes, I didn't see anything that was rotating, so I knew they were at home, good to go. Not going to be too impacted by these storms, but multiple wind reports across the Birmingham area, even around Jasper and as far north as Coleman. Those working their way a little bit more east into eastern side of Alabama and West Georgia. With that, as Matt was mentioning, tornado watch in place until 6. Now let's go ahead and highlight a few locations because we mentioned that rain was the big story here in North Mississippi as we got into those overnight hours. So bright banding, which is a term that basically has those high reflectivity values and might show on our radar that some heavier rainfall did take place. And we don't really expect that. We got 5 inches in Lafayette County. We haven't really seen that verified on some folks' rain gauges, 5 inches in Yalobusha County, and same thing around Calhoun County. We're not necessarily getting up into that 4 to 5 inch territory. As we cleared this off, this is really what we'd expect across the area. 2, 3 inches working their way through North Mississippi, and that's verified because we have a rain gauge at my house that showed about 2.3 inches as those storms worked their way on through. So really expect it to be 2 to 3 inch. We could see some locally higher amounts, but this much of a widespread threat of 5 inch rainfall, yeah, just kind of hard to believe in the grand scheme of things. So fortunately, that wasn't really the case across the area, but again, locally heavier rainfall with 3.5, potentially 4 inch totals were in that forecast. Now, if you were like me and got out in the yard earlier today, it was probably a very squishy ground because of how wet those grounds are. So if you're taking the dogs out this evening, dry forecasts are in place, but those grounds still a little bit saturated. So make sure to not take a lawnmower out there to get rid of those leaves. Probably going to destroy the yard in the process. But if you're walking the dogs, still a good forecast for it, with dry conditions and partly cloudy skies, 59 by 7, 57 by 9, and 55 there by 11 o'clock. Now, temperatures still mild getting overnight, but we are going to feel the effects of that cold front here soon as Wednesday afternoon. We'll get to that here in just a moment. Tuesday evening does show a few of these sprinkles going along the Tennessee state line. Have not verified that with radar, so that's a good thing in the forecast. We are seeing a little bit drier conditions than what Futurecast is trying to put in place, but that 10% chance is still in that forecast as these light showers, this wraparound moisture works its way into the area before extending a little bit more into Alabama and working its way out of our area leaving us with a drier sky overnight. And that's really going to be by that 10, 11 o'clock hour before those winds really drive all of this moisture out there towards the east into Alabama. And then we'll really feel the effects of that cold front moving into the start of our Wednesday. Now, those breezy conditions going to be a little bit more breezy out there in the Delta and far northwest Mississippi, but those winds do gradually build into the rest of our area by Wednesday morning. So that transition going to be taking place overnight. And by the time you wake up Wednesday morning, going to feel a little bit better and a little bit drier than where things sit right now. Low temperatures still going to be low to mid 40s, 42 Oxford, 42 Tunica, 43 Grenada, and 48 in Starkville. As you can see, cold front a little bit faster, or a little bit clearing the area up there in northwest Mississippi, but as that works its way through, some areas down there in southeast portion of our viewing area not going to be affected as quickly. So those temperatures not going to change as much for the start of the day. But then things get better by the afternoon. As you can see right here, our school bus graphic really showcasing that just a bit, with 45 towards pickup and 54 around drop-off. Still with plenty of sunshine all day long, but with the change in the atmosphere and high pressure building into the area, that's why our temperatures are not high by the afternoon, only 54 degrees. So despite it being a sunny sky, not exactly warming us up as we go about our Wednesday. As you can see right here, those breezy conditions out of the northwest really cycling in that drier and cooler air. So any plans for your Wednesday looking good to go. Those thin clouds maybe blocking the sunshine just a little bit, but that's the maximum amount that it'll be covered. We're going to see mostly clear skies all day long and continue to be the case into those lunch plans. I know it's Thanksgiving break. I know it's not going to be completely cold. Go ahead and go outside for those lunch plans and plan a picnic at the park or something just to enjoy the great weather we do have here in North Mississippi. Into your Wednesday afternoon, staying with those dry conditions, and those winds continue to cycle out of the northwest. I mean, this is going to be a breezy and beautiful forecast for sure for our Wednesday. And getting into those midweek activities, if your church is having it, it's going to be a good forecast as well. So get out there, enjoy it. I can't emphasize that enough, because with how things have been, this is a forecast we don't want to take lightly, and we really want to enjoy what we do have here in North Mississippi. Now, as we take a look at those high temperatures, we are going to be warm. This is the wrong day. I need to change this out because it did this the other day too. Let me see if I can do that real quick. You know what? I'm just going to have to edit that graphic behind the scenes here for the 6 o'clock hour. So we'll get that fixed by 6. But yeah, not going to see 60s or 70s in that forecast. Definitely going to be a cooler forecast by the afternoon. Wednesday evening, staying with those dry conditions once again. Maybe seeing a few clouds along the Tennessee state line, but that's really it when we're talking about action in the sky. Our skies stay really clear across the region. And of course, that is all due to high pressure dominating the mid-south and southeast portion of our viewing area. As we bring that back here to the southeast, we can definitely see that drier forecast in place. And as we get into that Thursday morning, still bring in some of those northerly breezes at about 10, 15, maybe even 20 mile an hour gusts in that forecast. That's noontime on your Thursday. And we build that into the area by 3 p.m. High pressure residing right over the top of us. So your Thanksgiving forecast, I told you guys it was a forecast to be thankful for. Yeah, most definitely. As we get that high pressure dominated air mass right over the top of us and giving us those dry, beautiful, clear, sunny, however you want to word it, it all means good, and that good forecast is going to be enjoyed by all of us for those Thanksgiving plans. If it's a backyard football game, if it's enjoying some good food, or if it's taking that afternoon nap, that food coma, definitely going to be a good one for that as well. Now, high temperatures Thursday, this is more like what we'd expect, and this is the same thing for our Wednesday as well. Not much change in those high temperatures. 52 New Albany, 54 there by Eupora, 54 Columbus, and 49 around Red Bay. So a little bit cooler in some spots, but that Thanksgiving forecast is going to showcase those cooler conditions for sure. 7 a.m., 35 degrees heading out the door for your Thursday morning. If you wake up early enough, probably going to see temperatures right around freezing, and those temperatures building throughout the afternoon. 50 degrees by noon, 52 by 3, and then we're cooling off once again 39 by 7, with even cooler temperatures for the start of our Black Friday. So anyone looking to get some shopping done, may God be with you, because it's going to be a cold one for sure. I don't know if it's really worth the pain of that, of getting out in those conditions. All right, we're going to wait a second for this to populate in here real quick, because we do want to take a look at airport delays around the area. There we go. Okay, so as you can see, we're looking good across the area. Any travel plans that you may have trying to get to GTR, Tupelo, flying out of either of these locations, going to be good to go. And as we push off a little bit more towards Atlanta, some rainy conditions in place, but not going to prevent any of our travel. So airports remain open, flowing pretty smoothly. So any of those plans to go see family this week are going to be good to go. We'll take a look at the national extent coming up at 6 o'clock tonight, but things are just trending in a good direction. A little bit of snowfall up north might make a little bit of those travel plans rough, but we don't really foresee that here in North Mississippi. Now, travel impacts tomorrow, as you can see, high impact, and I mentioned snowfall, high impact right around that Great Lakes area, with those mild impacts or moderate impacts going to be right along the East Coast due to some of that rainfall. But again, we haven't not seen any delays in those airports, so still going to be good to go if you're looking to get out and travel tonight or into your forecast by Wednesday. Our SEC football forecast, big one this week here in North Mississippi, the Battle of North Mississippi as Ole Miss takes on Mississippi State in Davis-Wade Friday morning. Going to be 11 a.m. kickoff, 44 first play, 47 by halftime. And there it'll sit by that final snap. My wife, she already ordered a Ole Miss sweatshirt just so she will have something to stay warm throughout the game. Don't blame her, and I recommend you guys to do the same just to stay on the safe side and stay warm in the process. Maybe choose Mississippi State, but that's just my biased opinion. Had to throw that out there. But yes, the Maynard household cheering on both sides, and one side is going to be happy, another one's going to be happy for the other. There we go. That's how we keep the peace. Our 7-day forecast, as you can see right here, clear and dry over the next several days. So finally enjoying the calm after the storm. 54 degrees by Wednesday, 52 Thursday, and 50 by Friday. I mentioned a cooler start there for our Black Friday. 32 Thursday, dropping to 28 Friday morning. So have those layers handy, especially for kickoff there at the Egg Bowl. Rain chances do push back into the forecast by the weekend, making those temperatures a little bit more mild, but still, even then, we're still a cold forecast. Make sure to get that warm gear out. This has definitely been a late summer type forecast the past several days, but now that this frontal system has passed, that's really provided us with more of those cold fall temperatures that we've long been waiting on. So a little bit something to enjoy. Now, as we get into the 6 o'clock hour tonight, we are going to take a look at that forecast heading into your Thanksgiving and Black Friday in a little bit more detail. So keep it here for the very latest. And of course, we'll talk national impacts across the United States for anyone looking to travel out of state. We'll take a look at that in more detail coming up at 6. There we go. Okay, had to get my voice back up. Our live shows, of course, happening at 5, 6, and 10. Our next one happening at 6 o'clock. But then we'll follow that up with the 10 o'clock broadcast. And always remember that our morning shows readily available during the week, 6:30, 7, and 7:30 on Mississippi Live Weather Today. We thank you guys for joining us, and we will see you back here in just a couple minutes for Mississippi Live Weather at 6.
Whether it's our stories, the warmth of our laugh, or our family's secret sauce, we all bring something different to the table. So make some space. The power of connection is waiting right outside your comfort zone. Learn how you can help strengthen your community at belongingbeginswithus.org/teamup.